welcome to another episode of Nights at the Round Table. Tis your boy, man, Weezy. To the left, we have Bo B. She's up in here.
Obesity.
To the right, we got Be Real. And hey,
And to your other left,
we got my son,
he has some things to say today.
Bonzo Bean Reyes.
He wants to clear some things up.
I'm being so rude eating with my mouth full or talking with my mouth full, but I'm so hungry. Hey, guys. It's early in the morning. It's not early.
We've already been up for a good 13
It's 10:15.
hours,
It's almost eating time for those who are intermittent fasting.
Eating time for those who are intermittent fasting.
Turns out though, intermittent fasting, you guys, it's actually a lot
It's
easier.
working. I've lost so much
Great.
weight
I
last
know.
week.
I'm like, look, everyone should try it.
I'm gonna bring you in. Yeah, dudes. So you know what? I'm gonna start this breaking moment with one of these cards. I'm gonna pick one.
Sponsored by Liz.
And let's see, connection. Ooh. You guys, we've been doing
Ask
this
questions.
What are the
Wordiful.
different,
Connections.
like headings?
There's
There's
a bunch of them.
Family, connection.
Yeah, we've been playing this game, Wordiful.
I like it.
It's been able to spark so many good conversations. So we've been. Ooh, this is interesting, and I don't even know how to answer this one. What keeps you connected to your inner child?
Ooh.
That's one of those. Do you know how to
Brandon.
answer that?
Yeah, I
Tenable.
know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So the thing that keeps me connected to my inner child, like one of the things that really marked my childhood was setting dreams of what I could accomplish and who I could be. So dreaming has always been the thing, and especially too, like as a 3, right? It's like I need something to achieve. So dreaming of things that I can do, things that I could become has been the thing that always keeps me connected to that inner Brandon. Because like when I was a kid, like I set my goal in 5th grade that I was going to play at Cal. For those of you that aren't familiar with our UC school system, it's in Berkeley, right? Number 1 public school in the world. Ha! I graduated from there.
Number
Feels good.
1.
And so in 5th grade, obviously, and I made that happen, dedicated years of my life. And so for me, there'll be moments whether I'm watching a movie or currently right now I'm watching the Kanye West documentary on Netflix, and you're hearing this guy in episodes 1 and 2 talking about all these things that he's like, man, I'm gonna change the rap game forever. These guys don't even understand, yada, yada, yada. It like that speaks to inner Brandon. That's like, what are you dreaming for, man? Like, what are you reaching for? So yeah, and then I'll hear a song, right? Like recently, there's a song on Donda 2, and it's a song called Too Easy. And there's something in it that just makes me feel like I can be anything. Like I can achieve anything. And that's when I feel most connected to.
I think with my inner child, what keeps me the most connected is never trying to be too cool. I had a good year or so on Instagram where I was trying to be too cool, only posting the model pics. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is not me at all. And I promised myself to always post just silly stuff and be as real as possible. And
Them dancing videos get me every time.
Yeah. It's just, I just have to be fully me no matter what anybody says,
Yeah.
what they think, how they label me, if I'm not cool, if I'm whatever. That keeps me super connected. Because low-key, I be feeling like I'm always the youngest in the room when at this point I'm becoming the oldest. in the room, in a lot of rooms. It's not a good feeling.
I mean, I would say I kind of like, I took it on both sides though. I was like, what connects me to my inner child in like the scared little girl Elise, and what connects me to like the cool inner child, like the one that's everything's gonna be fine. I think like it's probably like the same in the opposite to get the different emotions, if you will. But like it's kind of like what Brandon was saying in a very different way. Like anything entertaining, like a good movie, like The Greatest Showman vibes for me. You want to put The Greatest Showman on, that'll connect me to my inner child. Because when I was a little kid, all I wanted to be was a Disney princess on Broadway, like, which is probably not a shock to anybody, but like that, or just like, I wanted to be on Broadway. I loved musical theater. I loved things that made you feel and like gave you a bigger picture of life, of dreaming as well. And again, maybe it's my Enneagram 3, I don't know, but it's like anything that helps me dream and be like, I can still be a Disney princess on Broadway one day.
Yeah.
That is like honestly the thing for me. And anytime I'm playing, like anytime I'm being playful, whether that's like at the beach or playing tetherball or I don't know what that might be.
Shout out to tetherball.
Sponsored by tetherball these days. But like anytime like my inner child really does come out, I feel like it's an immediate connection back to like, And what's so funny is that I'm my most creative when I'm being like that.
Yeah.
Best
No,
ideas come.
Totally. I freaking feel that. I mean, you've seen the dance routines.
Okay, well.
Okay, we'll do one more. This is a good
what
one.
do you think?
This is a good one. This is an understand card. Is there something you struggle to understand about yourself?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Is there something you struggle to understand about yourself?
Yeah. One of the big things is on a common reoccurring thing.
Just Manuel eating.
What is that, a macro bar? Yeah. Dude, they're hella good.
He's breaking his intermittent fast. What
That
are you
peanut
talking
butter,
about?
Guys, I'm
peanut
so
butter
sorry.
one,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
tastes
yeah.
like just straight up peanut butter.
I have one in there if you want it.
I might take that after. One of the things though is I will have just stressful dreams, like just stress dreams, where I wake up and I just feel completely overwhelmed, and there's nothing in my life at the current moment that feels like it's out of control.
Which is so interesting because you're like a dream person.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's one of the way that I like process things.
Wow.
So like, you know, there's seasons where there's really tough conversations that I needed to have with people, and I had them in my dreams, and I didn't need to have them in real life because it felt resolved within myself. But I have the tendency to worry so quickly. And I don't understand that about myself. Like, you know, if I were to not work and Maddie or not work, we could probably survive for the next 2 years, right? Rent's paid, all that sorts of stuff, basics. And I still, on a daily basis, I worry about money. And like, you know, and things like that, like I worry, like that injury had me really worried. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't work. Oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The other day I had like some water that was like deep in my ear. And I just assumed the worst. I was like, oh shit.
This
If
is how I
don't-
go.
If I don't go to urgent care right now, I'm going to need ear surgery, you know? But I'm like, what is that about myself? Why do I worry so quickly? And why do I go
Wow.
to the absolute extreme? And then why is there always an underlying stress in my life that I'm not aware of on a daily basis, but it comes out in my dreams? I don't understand that about myself.
Man, that's good. I think like I can relate to that a little bit. I couldn't. The thing I struggle, I mean, there was a lot more I struggled about before therapy. So shout out to therapy, but it helps me get outside of my head. But I think that like I have to be doing something all the time. And like me and Katie start like moving to Huntington and starting literally I think it's 5 now different businesses last year, like 2 or 3 main ones, but then just like other side hustles. Like I know how to make money now. Like I actually know how to generate income out of thin air and be creative enough to come up with those ideas. I never knew that before. And yet it's like this, I could be home, and the beauty of working for yourself, right, is that you can pick your schedule. Turns out I work more now than ever, and I can't switch off my brain, and I have to be creating and doing. And that worry, I had that same thing of like in a different way, but like that I have to be doing something. And Katie will often look at me and be like, you need to chill. Like, go sit by the pool. Go enjoy the life that you're creating. But I'm like, it's like this little, again, speaking of connecting to the inner child, it's probably that little girl in me that's scared of not having enough or not whatever. And then listen, there's always the struggle of like, why do I do the things that I do? And like, whether it's in relationships or other random crap like that. Like, I'm like, why do I keep answering that person's text? Elise, stop. Like, just stop, you know? You know what I mean, you guys.
I do.
Married life.
Yeah, it's been
Anyone
a while.
that's single listening gets it.
It's been a while since I've been thirsty.
Okay, well, wouldn't have labeled it thirsty.
Wow.
Thanks, though.
Yeah, I don't.
great.
What I struggle to understand about myself would probably be the you know, I don't understand why I still compare myself, even though it's minimal. It's like the last remnant of something that really bothers me. Like I always have to freaking put myself back in line, like remind myself on a daily basis.
Just like to anyone, like
I have my
strangers?
I have my own race. Yeah, like not strangers. Usually it's just people that I know or people that I follow that I'm trying to become like. You know, there's always this
Like,
comparison.
how close am I to that? Like,
Yeah,
am
and
I-
nothing's ever fast enough. Nothing's ever quick enough.
Story
Nothing
from my
ever
life.
is like. I no longer believe in the enough thing, like what you were talking about, because I went through that years ago when I went from no money to having money, and And I quickly realized, oh crap, you're the problem, not the money,
Yeah.
having it or not having it.
That's always a fun realization. Oh,
You're
you're the
just
problem.
scared. Like you have zero trust in God. That's on you, bruh. And so I had to deal with that like when we first got married. But the comparison thing is, you know, it continues. I feel like on a daily, I'm having to tell myself, this is your race. Like, love this race of yours. This is it. Don't look to the left or the right, or else you're going to slow yourself down. And I already think I'm going too slow. You know what I'm saying? So I hate that I do that. Even because I understand that I love my race and I don't want their race. I don't want their life. But I still,
when you can actually like when you can pick it apart, you know that what you're worrying about or stressed about or whatever, you know your E is going to be fine. Like you can rationalize it, but it doesn't stop the very human moments of having the moment.
Yes. So now how long you stay in that will determine your growth. Like determine whether you're growing or not.
Yeah.
If it fucks up your whole day, you know you got ways to go. If you can acknowledge it, kick yourself in the butt a little bit and be like, come on, bruh. And then keep it moving, then you know, oh, okay. You've overcome that. You're just still human.
Yeah, I'm constantly telling myself, come on, bruh.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how often in my mind, I'm like, come on, bruh.
Yeah, you should.
It's just like.
And today's episode for that transition, thank you, Bobies. We're talking about.
Didn't you miss me?
We're talking about the transitions of change, or the stages of transition
in life.
So currently, everybody, Bobies has gone through a big transition. B's gone through transitions. I mean, we're constantly going through a transition. And I looked up, like,
the definition.
Yeah,
Webster's
well, look,
dictionary.
there's this thing called Bridges Transition Model, guiding people through change, right?
Ooh.
And they broke it down into 3,
Was it the
which we
same
were
with our
kind of
conversation?
close. Yeah, we were kind of close. Step 1,
Come on, bruh.
ending, losing, and letting go.
Ending, losing, letting go.
So something ending, the feeling of loss,
grief.
and then having to let that go.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that feels accurate.
Are you in that stage 1?
Where am I?
Or are you freshly
Ooh.
out of stage 1? Is there something in your life where you're
I
in
think
stage
that
1?
I don't know about you guys. I feel like I'm in a couple of different like transitions of things at the
Yeah.
moment, and so I'm in different stages in different areas, which is it's just emotions all the time. But it's like,
Okay, which one is stage 1 then?
which one am I ending?
Which part in your life are you ending, losing, or letting go of something? Is there something in your life where you're in that stage?
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to talk about it and see what happens.
about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Don't tell her. You guys don't tell her I talked about this. So Katie has a boyfriend. I've talked about it before. Like Katie's like
her.
one of my best friends in the whole entire
awesome.
world. Like literally just like a sister. She's now my business partner as well. Oh my God, I have a business partner, guys. First of all, what? But my business partner, she's also my roommate. We moved to the OC together. Like we've done so much life. And in terms of the transition of coming off church staff and having a season away, like from LA, which is probably really good for me. Who knows what will happen like from here because I miss it, but it's fine. Don't come to conclusions, everybody. We'll see, one step at a time. But really, she's been in so much of this. Like she was one of my bridesmaids in my wedding. Like you guys know Katie, she's phenomenal. So having moved away from a lot of the comfort, she was comfort, right? That's important, I still think. And so with her getting a boyfriend, they're getting more and more serious. I can feel, if we're talking about like what in my life is it the different stages, I can feel the ending coming and I'm like, whoo, all right, take some deep breaths. You're okay. You're okay, bruh. And so I think I know, I feel that season coming to an end. And we always knew it was just a season. But when you start facing the reality of up ahead, there is a turn coming and enjoy the road that you're on right now. This is great, but you see the turn coming up ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm starting to like process that transition.
That feels very layered too. Because not only is it the best friend kind of leaving, but for the reason she's leaving is something that you're still very much still like
trying to find.
wanting and chasing.
Totally.
So it's like a little bit of, which isn't every movie you've ever seen, right? It's the best friend. It's like, oh, you're getting married. I'm so
I love that for
happy
you.
for you.
Are you sure? Like the night before. But did you notice how he does this? Isn't that kind of weird? Anyway, I could manipulate it if
That's
I
a
wanted
layered process. That's a very
Yeah.
look. All my friends got married before me, so I never cared though.
No, it's just different. But also, I've been married and divorced before.
Yes.
And we've talked about this a lot. The fact that like she's probably been. I have never lived with someone since I was married, and specifically didn't, and said that I probably wouldn't live with anyone except for if they were Katie or like my real husband, who whenever I meet him. And so to live with her has been such a healing season of. Oh, this is what it's meant to be like, because this is so much fun, and I'm not worried about the environment I'm going to walk into. That's nice.
Yeah.
And like it's been actually so healing in that sense. So now to have it ending, and it will, like, that season will end well and healthy and all that kind of stuff, it still brings up a lot of like that trauma of being left and of being that I have already experienced before in my life, as well as being on the same road of like, oh, I still fully believe in marriage. I want to get married and all that kind of stuff. And so it's definitely layered. So that's my ending.
Wow.
That's your end. Do you have an ending, losing or letting go?
No, not right now.
That's good.
I did when I got hurt.
Yeah.
Back in, because I knew it was going to change up a lot of plans.
Yep.
So that felt like a huge loss. You know what I'm saying?
And mine, I see mine coming. That one was a shock. That
Oh
one,
yeah,
like,
it
you
just
could never
came
have
on
seen
the
it
day.
coming.
Like I had
Two different types.
very few moments have in my life that I can recall that I've just been overwhelmed with gratitude out of nowhere, where it wasn't like, hey, let's list our gratefuls right now, which that's awesome. I love that. But like, you know, that's like you and you're like, oh shit, what am I grateful for? Oh man, these, you know, where it just hit me. I was driving and I was just like, God, I love my life. It's amazing. 3 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, my kneecap is not supposed to be there.
It's not meant to be looking like that.
So that was
Oh my
loss,
God.
letting go, and that was like,
You went from
yeah.
Buddy the Elf.
yeah,
to,
your life is gonna look drastically
Wow.
different these next 6-7 months. So now I'm in month 7. I'm still not even fully cleared to like play sports. I'm running again, but
So then that brings us at the stats 2, which is
Well done, Brandon.
the
Great
neutral
transition.
zone.
yeah, the neutral
The
zone.
neutral zone.
Which
like,
another
what
word
does
for
that mean?
is like liminal space, like a liminal
You're doing great.
lemony, something like that. There's an actual word for that.
When life
neutral
gives you
zone.
lemons, I believe is what you were looking for.
The liminal space, you know, without light. And so kind of a neutral zone. And definitely being there was just like, you're hardly seeing any change.
Oof.
You're hoping for change, but you're not seeing it.
It's almost like
You're
stagnant.
still very close to the loss, but it doesn't sting as hard. So you're just kind of like, it just feels like nothing's happening at that moment for that. So that was for me. It was just like doing my little rehab exercises every day. Like, God, this is boring. When does this get better? When do I catch momentum?
Yeah.
Like, what does this look like? Me taking actual steps forward. It just feels like I've been here and I still can't lift my leg off the ground, you know? So
I think that was also, we called it, what was our version of it? It was,
the grief or the
our neutral zone, what we were calling it was like, what do we do now? Like once you've let go or you're at an end, you lost something, you find yourself in a place where it's like, well, what do you do now? Like you don't have, you haven't been here before, because every situation for you is unique. The circumstances are always going to be unique. Like even you may have lost a friend before, you may have been broken up before, but you weren't in this exact space
Totally.
in your life before.
right. Even if you have the same season of experience,
Correct.
every breakup's different. Why? Because
gonna
you're different. the
Your
situation's
circumstances different. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
all of that is different. So the neutral zone to me feels like, well, what do I do? Like
Yep.
it's just like a car's in neutral. It's not going forward. It's
Yeah.
not going backward.
And I like what B said. It's like you can still feel. It's like this existing ache of a loss, but it's not that throbbing pain anymore. So it's just an existing ache. It's every time you think about it, it's a, oh yeah, that happened, you know? And it's that like, oh wow. So for me, I mean, like I said, there's been so many life transitions in the last 18 months. And I mean, everyone knows one. Like from 2020, you right now in your car, in your kitchen, wherever you listen to this, you can think of one thing right now that you're in either one or all of the stages of that transition. So for me, it was moving to the OC and out of like ministry, the full-time ministry, where it was just this lull for a while of like, I know I'm doing the things, I'm creating the businesses, I know I'm leading women, and that part of my life kind of felt like God, I'm so grateful for that. Like I didn't hurt my knee, which sorry about that. But like it felt like I know I'm doing the right thing here, but there still is this dull ache of what used to be. And that was I'm doing the things, I'm doing therapy, I'm actively letting things go, I'm choosing not to be bitter, I'm looking for community, I'm all this kind of stuff. But it is that dull ache of like, what's my life going to look like now? Because it was meant to look like ministry for the next 50 years. Like, that's what it was meant to look like. So now not only are you walking away from something, so many times you're walking away from what you thought your life would be. And that brings in your whole identity. And so that's like, it goes from like, you thought you knew what the rest of the year would look like. You had all the plans. You had all the things. You knew what the guys were going to be doing. You knew how you were going to train them and train with them. You knew all that stuff. And then suddenly in a moment, and that's what they say about grief, is like the trauma isn't actually about like what you went through. It's measured by the shock factor of something. So though there is still grief when you know a parent's going to die that's had cancer for a long time, it is a very different experience than if you lose a parent in a car accident that you never saw coming. Like it's actually measured by shock. And so, I think that for me, I was a little bit more prepared for it. And yet there's still that, like, I don't know what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I mean, it's that I feel like I'm forever in the neutral zone. Cause it's like the amount of stuff that I'm looking around and like thinking, how do you do what you do? At least in my life, like what I'm attempting to do. Cause I guess my transition would be letting go of the old life we have into this nomadic type life where it's
and that's so tough for a season because you don't have a place to land.
I know. I mean, I'm grateful. We landed at B's house and that was awesome. I felt so good there. But I guess the idea of not having your own space is and this is always the funny part because some people go into transitional stages because they have to. Like B didn't choose to freaking mess up his knee. We didn't have to go.
He's like, agreed.
We did not have to leave our very comfortable life up there in the hills. Like we didn't have to go. I remember my business manager, we had a conversation and she was like, Manny, just so you know, you don't have to go. Like you guys can afford to live here. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't serve our long-term goals.
Well, it wasn't costing you financially, but it's always costing you in some way, right?
Yeah. I mean, it very much is costing us financially.
No.
It was very expensive.
He's like, for the record. But what I mean is like, I could have stayed in ministry too, but
yes.
the cost of where I was at.
Yes. It was a hindrance in what you felt like you could do or how far you could go. Like,
and Brandon didn't have to mess up his knee, but it was costing him in other areas. Like it wasn't costing me at all.
But moving when you don't have to, or putting yourself into a transition when you technically don't have to and no one in your world
that
is
can be
forcing
more tough,
you to.
Because then you look back on the decision and you're like, and then that's when it comes.
I can't tell you how many times I ask Ange, I was like, hey,
decision?
do you regret leaving? Because she's always like, I love the view. And we don't have a view. And I'm always like, did I push too hard? Did I whatever? Yeah, like, because we could be up there. It could be fine. All these things. But, I just go back to the idea of like, no, but there's a goal and it's in sight and we will end up back there. But for now, this feels like the wise thing to do. So as you're transitioning, it's like there may be plenty of times where you're like, I need to go back to Egypt. It was better there.
I knew what we could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember even too, just what's funny was I remember during the decision making of Maddie and I moving down here to LA, I was so worried about that. Because I was like, man, like, we got it good here. It's comfortable, even though I'm not all that I could be. I know I could be more, and I know that the people we're supposed to be around.
But you had a trajectory.
Oh yeah, I was like, yo, I could cash this in, and I could see the next 20 years of my life easy, And I remember filming an actual video just as kind of like a video journal for myself. And I was just talking about, I'm like, I know this is scary. Like, I know that I don't have the dots connected yet. I have no idea what the hell I'm even going to do down there. But I just know that there's something more. So let's just take a chance, But I remember preceding that, exactly what was said. I remember loss of that feeling of like, yeah, this is dead. Like I'm dying, And then we took the jump, and then it's crazy because I think about that, and I think about like, yo, if we didn't come down there, I wouldn't have met you guys a month later. Literally, I met you at your surprise birthday party at Nice Guy.
Still married.
And I met you like
I was like, who are these people? I like him.
I met you. I think it was crazy too. I think it was actually your birthday party. Now that I lined up the dates.
Wow.
Because yours is
July.
July 24th.
Thought it was this week. Now
Mine
I
is the
think it's June.
28th.
Yeah.
Mine is the 28th.
So I met you guys both at your
Yes.
birthday parties.
Was I was at your birthday party too.
No, not my married one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that was a whole.
Yeah, no, that was a whole
That was a
thing.
different one. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I literally didn't know Brandon and Maddie, and
Yeah.
got introduced them to them that night. And it ended up. What's funny, and I was thinking about it before, was like sometimes transitions, what used to feel like an unsafe transition, ends up being the safe place to land after. So it's like, had you not met them in his transition, you wouldn't have a safe place to land in your transition. Like, it's funny when
Ooh,
you
that's
think about
deep.
that.
Yeah.
When, like, had I not met you in the craziest transition of my life that I didn't even know was going to be happening yet, then what ended up happening those few months after in the divorce and even 2018 is I will lifelong hold those memories in that house that you guys then transitioned out of. But the purpose for it was beyond you guys. It was my safe place to land. But I met you guys during, like, it's just funny how you look back. And sometimes the transitions create the safe place for the next transition.
Yeah,
Ooh, man.
it's a word.
That
It's
is a word.
Yeah.
Do you want to run around? Are you good? Anyone need to do a praise lot?
Oh, I feel like I
can-
need. There you go. There you go.
Can't hear it, but you
I'm
can.
doing
No, but we love that for you.
I put some in there. There was claps.
No,
there was
yeah,
claps.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is a really good point of, man, it is like you don't even realize what you're saying yes to in the
Yes.
transition, that it's bigger than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, if Maddie and I don't say yes to that transition, Nights at the Round Table
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
it's not here.
Yeah.
In the same way, it probably has a different name and it's probably something different, or maybe it doesn't even happen.
Yeah, I don't know if it happens.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm
'Cause
thinking
it was
like,
burnt out of
whoa,
our
like
Mm-hmm.
that's-
community.
and I think that's the
Nice.
beautiful thing that you have to hold on in steps 1 and 2 is the fact that you have no idea what beautiful thing can be created. So just hold on to that hope in the neutral zone.
Yeah.
And hold on to it by looking back too.
Yeah.
Because now what we have is, I know when I moved from Australia to Los Angeles, I said 2 years, and my dad said, if it sucks, you can always come home. And it did suck, but I had to hold on to that at the start, and then it got really good. And then I was like, oh, this is my home now.
Yeah.
And then I got married, and when that was confusing, I could look back at transitions gone by when I had no idea, knowing they had turned out okay. So honestly, even in Huntington, I always tell myself that the like 2-year rule, or like I'm going to give myself a time frame rule, whatever it is. And if this sucks, you can always just go back to that other thing. But what you don't know is, if you don't step out on this, like, you'll never actually know. And so sometimes the best thing you can do in those seasons is look back on the times you did do it, and you're so freaking grateful
Yeah.
that you didn't. 'Cause,
Yeah.
good Lord, imagine if you hadn't moved.
Sheesh.
Well, that goes into the third step, which is the new beginning. Like the new beginning. It could be shitty or it could be amazing. But look, even through the shitty, like, everything is amazing. At least for me, like, our freaking new life was suitcases and, you know, whatever. But when I sit back, I'm like, I always tell Ange and I remind everybody, I was like, yeah, but guys, like, we're farther ahead in life than ever before. Like, financially, health, like, everything. Like, we're so much better right now, even though it doesn't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? When you just get out of the emotion of it, because Ange is really, you know, she thinks, you know, through her emotions. I'm always like, if you can just pause that little voice in your head and just like, let's look at some numbers. Let me show you something. Like, we're actually hitting goals, you know, and that's kind of crazy. And if you can give me this 3 to 5 years, these next 3 to 5 years, in that amount of time, we could be in a crazy situation to where we're like, oh, like, we're good.
Well, that's what I wonder is, like, is that with the suitcases season, is that the new beginnings, or are you still in the loss? Because there is that nomad land for a while in transition. It is moving to, like, when you guys moved to North Hollywood or whatever it was, Brandon and Maddie and I lived in the same apartment complex for a while. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, back at the Hesby.
But it's like back of the Hesby and people getting shot. So I was like there, but like in transition seasons, that first little bit is nomadic. So it's like, I don't even know if that's the new beginning phase, because it was like when I still think I'm in some of the, or do you go back and forth? Like, I still think I am in some of the nomad stage of like, I don't really know now. Okay. So I've got money coming in. That's amazing. And now I've known I can be a businesswoman. Who knew? But then I look at my relational side and I'm like, okay, well, that still feels very nomadic at the moment. And I question that area of like, okay, I know that this move was good for this, but it kind of feels like it went into the red in this area. What do you do when you've made that transition and you see the benefit, but then there are other areas of your life that are still in the deficit? Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense, because typically you choose a transition for specific reasons, not for a total
whole,
thing,
yeah.
right? So some people transition, especially in COVID, we got to move because there's better work over there, or we're moving because we're getting taxed too high over here. So it's a financial decision, or sometimes you're moving out of a relationship, so it's an emotional decision. Like, you're looking for those things, but then as we are multi-layered individuals, I guess it does make sense that if you can sit back and like do a little looking into your life's books, you can see that probably you're in each method, like
simultaneously,
all the time,
Right.
all the time, different layers.
because there's a new beginning. That you're usually in neutral in some place, and you're usually ending, losing, or having to let go continually.
That's why I said at the start, I was like, I think I've got something happening in every area. Well, when you and Maddie moved to LA, you were kind of doing that, right? Because you were prepared to take an L in ministry, if you will, knowing we don't know where this is going. And you had hope. And I think God's kind sometimes in that he lets you think like it's going to be okay.
Yeah. And you had an L in ministry or spiritual side, but a win in emotional side because
In
you're married.
relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, it's weird because it's like you could kind of feel how all of these blend together, because in my mind, even right now, I'm thinking, what does a new beginning feel like? Like, a new beginning oftentimes reminds me of what I didn't have in the loss, which just brings up the loss, the feeling of I just let go.
Yeah.
So it's like new beginnings sure can feel hopeful, but new beginnings can also feel painful.
That is true.
So it's kind of like you can still be grieving in
In the
transition,
new.
and you're already in the step 3 with a new beginning. So that it very much so blends.
Yeah.
So I think even like it's interesting, like even with the stages of grief, right? So, if you look at the overall cycle of a grieving season, you're going through the 5 or 7 stages, depending on how you want to view it, of grieving. But on a single day, you can go 1 through 5, 1 through 5, 1 through 5, 1 through 5. On a weekly basis, you could go 1 through 5, you could go all those stages of grief. So it's almost, I feel like, even similar in the feelings of transition. You're going to feel all of these no matter where you're at. And it's going to be like, oh man, that really hurt. I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh, I'm so glad to be here. It's a new beginning.
I'm so grateful. My knee's not meant to be like that.
I can't believe I let go. Oh, So it's
That's
funny
so
because
true.
I don't even know what a new beginning feels like. Like, I can probably describe it, but it's only in looking back. It's never in the actual moment. Like, you don't really know when something new has happened. We're usually late to what.
Being aware of it.
Yeah, we're so late.
And
I think
'cause
most
it's
of us
new.
move in monumental newness, right? So
Yeah.
if you get a new job, that
Right.
obviously feels like
Right.
a new beginning. Or you get a new relationship,
It's
totally
new. Yeah.
feels like a new beginning. I think those are the only new beginnings that we can
That are
actually
clear.
notice and feel like clear. Yeah.
But even that, like, okay, because then even the process of that is you get a new house. Sure, to everyone else, you just got a new house. What a win. They didn't see the 12 months of like leaving the other house, having to do this. New relationship, they didn't see the hours you spent on Hinge. Like, new job, they didn't see that you had to let go of the other job, especially if it's a new business or like. People are celebrating the new, but don't even see what you had to go through in letting go of the old. So sometimes maybe that can be confusing because you have society, you have your friends that are saying, this is amazing. Look at how you go in the new. And then suddenly you feel bad because you're like, am I not grateful for it? But you're still grieving what other people don't see that gets you to the
That, or maybe even neutral, because even as I dissect what I just said, like new relationship, if you're coming out of a bad one, you're approaching this one with some type of trepidation. So
Totally.
it doesn't even feel new.
Tentative.
It's more like, oh, is this going to work? Should I give? That doesn't feel like a new thing. When it comes to a job, okay, starting a new business, you're like, is this going to work? You can't even really celebrate the new of it because you're trying to figure out if this crap is going to fly or fail. So it really is like yeah, maybe the stages really are just like, I don't know if you can, I guess it's good to know.
It's very hard to discern.
It's good to know that
Very
there
hard
are
to discern.
stages. It's even better to know that you'll probably be forever going in and out
Yeah.
of each one
Yeah.
But that's
consistently.
helpful because
And
then you
that's
don't
okay.
feel crazy.
Yeah.
Because how many times do you just feel crazy when you're going in and out of it and you're like, is this what transition is meant to be like? I hate it here. Like, get me out of here.
Well, isn't it a deceitful thing to even tell ourselves that there is a landing place? Mm-hmm. There is no freaking landing place. I feel like we're forever jumping on, freaking, what are those things that frogs jump on?
Lily pads?
Lily pad. I feel like we're constantly jumping on lily pads, trying not to sink.
We are in a game of Frogger.
Yeah, like trying not to sink, and that is
Trying not to
life
get hit by a car.
forever until
real,
we
though.
die. Then we land. That's kind
Oh
of
my
morbid,
gosh.
but it's
Jeez.
beautiful. I think it's beautiful.
It's that like, and even then you put on there like, is transition okay? Is it not? A lot of that experience in those stages and that grieving and the confusion in it can also be from what you see other people doing. If you never saw your parents move anywhere, then suddenly your decision to move isn't just a transition. It goes against everything you've ever seen in your family or what you've been told is right. If you choose to move to a different church or step outside of something for a while, and what people are telling you is that is not just a transition, that is like a sin or whatever, or like you can then layer that with so many what other people have told you is good versus bad. So it's like, I'm not in full-time ministry anymore. There's been a lot of that experience in that process that has had to be like taking apart what is this bad? Because not only is this new, now I'm also trying to figure out if this is bad or good. And so I think part of the divorce was that as well. Like I knew that I was getting out of toxicity and something that would end up very, very, very much harming me. But it's the word divorce, which I got told that is bad. So then you throw those things in there and it's just like spanner in the works of the game of Frogger.
Man, yeah.
It's just
I
so
think
much.
it's-
You could
I
keep
think
going
it's,
on it.
Well, yeah, because it's a brilliant I'm okay with the idea that I didn't think this before, but I don't think you ever stop transitioning, and it may be naive to think that life slows down enough for you to get your handle on it.
Yeah.
It's probably a really naive way.
And when you do have that moment, then 3 hours later,
yeah,
wondering if
like
your knee is meant to turn like that.
I think here's the moral of the story in this episode is be comfortable with change.
Yeah.
Be alive in transition, and be grateful for every stage as it continually swirls around you. Don't give yourself any like false expectations that this life slows down or that at some time you'll be secure. Like circumstances will never allow it. Life won't, because it's forever flowing. It's forever ebbing and just moving.
Mm-hmm.
I think the goal is in transition through all these things is to have a sense of inner peace and of okayness. Like, I'm okay. Like, let's just go down this river with God, with whatever faith you hold true. And all of it is okay. Going in and out of these seasons is okay. Because you never know what the next season is going to bring. You never know the beauty in it that could very much overshadow the rest of the dark,
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So grateful for you guys listening. We love you guys. Thank you, Boobies, for being here once
welcome.
again. Love you. We'll try to have her on more. And guys, if you think this is a good episode for you, then it's probably a good episode for somebody else. If you know somebody who's going in transition, share this episode. Let them know that they should listen to it. If you're on the YouTube, subscribe, like, hit the bell. If you are on Amazon or Spotify or Apple, any of those things, subscribe. You guys have no idea how much it helps. And we love you guys. And we always say, we pray you find a seat at the table. But if you don't, you are always welcome at ours.
Cheers.
Cheers.